First of all, I would really like to say I'm probably taking more away from this conference than I'm going to be giving in my short speech today, because I have learned so much in the past 2.5 days. It's just been amazing. I think I'm really pleased with the conference because I have learned a lot from all sorts of different perspectives, government, NGOs, and private businesses. This paper is about looking at the stakeholders where private businesses have and how they can really help inform the success, or in some cases, the failure of a public-private partnership. I would like to recognize my co-author on this, who is not here, Catalin Ratul, and he and I have been working on sustainability issues for several years, and I would like to recognize him for this work. Our focus, of course, is on SDG 17, and I'm going to skip through the first slides because in the past 2.5 days we've heard all the wonderful things about PPPs. I'm going to skip to some concerns there are. First of all, these are from the literature as much as anything else. Sometimes there's unclear responsibilities. People aren't sure who's supposed to do what. Even when you write things out, who is supposed to change those clocks in London or in Great Britain when they have the health situation going along? Sometimes there's a poor alignment with the strategies. The purpose of the NGO or the government agency may not align well with the strategy of the business organization. Sometimes it's inefficient optimization. Businesses frequently treat social issues and PPOs as something that are stepchildren to their actual running a business. And sometimes they're put aside and they aren't given the attention that they should, which sometimes results in lack of optimization. There's also a lack of discipline in execution. And one of the things that is very interesting is many times it's the top people of the organization that sign these PPPs. But you find it's the people down in the organization who actually have to do and perform the functions. And sometimes they aren't clear about what it is they're supposed to do. Sometimes there is a lack of ownership. Is this what I'm really paid to do? Sometimes we have poor project controls because as stepchildren, they aren't given the attention as far as controls and assessment that other projects are. And sometimes the businesses think that the cost is going to be much lower than it actually turns out to be. And this causes some problems in the PPP. And you also have poor resource optimization. Sometimes they haven't really matched what are the strengths of the organization that can best be matched with the NGO or the government agency. So those are some of the concerns that we were looked at. And we were looking at how stakeholders, there are several successes, and I'm just skipping through those. Stakeholders can really influence how successful or unsuccessful a partnership happens to be. And we are going to look at only 3 of the stakeholders today: the customers, the investors, and the employees. Now, there are other stakeholders that are also should be considered, but these are 3 of the most prominent ones. Excuse me. Customers. One of the things that we find is today with social media and all of the things going on, customers are very apt to voice complaints when they're unhappy. We have in the United States, some organizations have been supporting of Planned Parenthood. There has been huge backlash and also boycotts of firms that are supporting Planned Parenthood because not all of the customers are aligned with that particular goal. And this then, in social media, has gone wild, and they've tried to get boycotts going on. So one of the things that you find that not all of the customers are going to be happy with the business firm engaging with different agencies. Maybe for some of the goals it works, for others it doesn't. One of the things we found in a Harris survey done in the United States says that there was a 10% decrease in concern for the planet from 2009. And this is one of the things that you find is interesting. It's even though some people are very concerned about the triple bottom line, not everyone is. And so therefore, one of the things you find is what do the customers feel about these different issues? There are green consumers, and I find this very interesting. Some people are really into the environment and will be happy to pay, such as if you buy Tom's shoes. Are you all familiar with Tom's shoes, where they sell one pair and then they give one pair of shoes to different places free of charge? When people buy shoes from Tom's, they know exactly what they're doing. They are going to give extra money so that this company can give shoes away for free. But there are other types of consumers that are very cost conscious and will only buy things that are environmentally focused if the cost is lower. And then you have the eco-chics, as we're referred to, and these will only buy green products if it's a conspicuous consumption, if they can go around and show people that I am a green consumer. If they can't show it, they aren't going to go along with it. So one of the things that you have as a challenge is identify what are the consumers of the firms, what are their priorities. And one of the things, if you're going to approach a business firm, you better be aware of what their customers, how their customers feel, because they are a big stakeholder and can influence the success of it. And of course, the best thing to do is for an NGO to identify organizations where the customers' priorities align with their own priorities. We also have investors. And we heard yesterday, did you really need to make a profit? Well, I think most investors think so. The reason why they are investing, they do want some return on their investment as well as doing good. And this is one of the things that you find with investors. The goal is many of them want to invest in social responsible organizations. This is one of the things that the first speaker today was talking about customers. Why did they support this organization, which wasn't very socially responsible? A question is, why are people investing in this firm if they aren't socially responsible? And one of the things that you find that a lot of firms now have funds that are SRI, socially responsible investment fundamentals. And in the U.S., it's around $9 trillion are now invested in these types of funds. And one of the things that we find is, for the most part, investing in good causes also brings good rewards. And this is one of the things that you find, that the yields are many times higher than they are in other investments. And we will skip about the risk. We've talked about risk before. I did want to spotlight one organization, UBS, and I take the 8 up here from my hotel, and we passed their office building. And this is an organization which is really a partner as far as the strategic sustainability goals go. And if you look at this, you can read the thing. They really say that they are trying to invest in ways which will really help the world, society as a whole. And if the quote is, we've partnered with visionaries who've developed innovative ways to meet the UN's SDGs while also generating financial returns for their investors. And that was in 2017. So the investors' challenge is to find, again, goals of organizations which match with the goals of the investors. Okay, why people work? The employees. Of course, people work to get paid. That's the main reason people hold a job. But why people work where they do is for other reasons. Many times you find, and the last one listed here is meaningful work that makes a difference. What we find is that many times employees work where they do because they feel they're going to make a contribution to society as well as get an income. And one of the things that we find, and this slide goes through the different baby boomers and the Generation Xers and the millennials, and we have hope. The millennials, nearly half believe their employees should engage with issues important to society. And one of the things that we find, selection of partners is very, very critical. When you look at this is the final slide, is customers, investors, and employees really impact the firm. And anytime an NGO is trying to develop a partnership, they have to be aware of who the customers are, who the investors are, and who the employees are. And that concludes.
So please remember, if we all help and do a little bit, it will make a big difference.